Welcome to my review of Hunchback for Commodore 64. And yeah, I'll start out by saying this game is a piece of shit. So that'll kind of forecast where this review is going. But yeah, the arcade version of this game is actually a pretty solid, good game for its time period, for the type of games that were being released at the time. And it plays very similar to this game, except that it's actually pretty decent. Unlike this game. Now, the biggest problem with this game is that it plays decently enough initially, but there is a few parts where, and I'm showing the whole playthrough in this review, just to be clear, because it's such a short game. So, if you lose a life, you will start back at the last screen you got to, at the beginning of the last screen you got to, and you have a few lives to work with. Now, one thing that's really broken about this game is that there are a few areas with completely random projectiles, which is fine, except for the fact that the projectiles come out right where you spawn as soon as you start the stage. And you have a very slow liftoff and movement to your jump. So even if you jump immediately, you have to wait, a few split seconds for your jump to lift off the ground fully. So because of that, there's just areas in the game where you pretty much fucked. You have to take a guess what projectile is going to come out of the left side of the screen when you spawn at the beginning of the screen. And I've had many times where I would get hit by every arrow. I would try jumping, I'd get hit because the arrow would be up high. I would try walking, I'd get hit, jump, get hit, until all my lives were gone. And I show that in the tutorial I made for this game. I show a demonstration of me totally losing all my lives on one screen just because of that. No matter what I did, the arrow just hit me. And that's because I had a guess to where the arrow might be. It's completely random as far as I can tell. You'll see here, if you don't jump immediately when the screen starts, you'll die. So that's just something you have to know. But see, that's the reaction time that you'll be dealing with. If you want to try to look at that and react to it, good luck. With the slow liftoff speed, you got to take that into account as well. That's part of going to cut your reaction so that you get hit. So there's really not enough time to react and to have the time to lift off fully in your jump. So you just got to know to jump there, but later on it's not going to be that simple. Now this is from an edited playthrough, so you're not going to see any of the deaths. But you will see me do it successfully, but that's because I got lucky on those lives. But if you watch my tutorial of the game, I show a demonstration, like I said, of me exhausting all my lives from the arrows, from trying to guess where they were going to come out. And because of that, this game took me around 3 hours and 59 minutes to beat. Otherwise, a very simple game for me that I could have beaten very quickly, maybe within 30 to 60 minutes. But, because of that, it took me nearly 4 hours, right around 4 hours. So I did grind this one out, not because it was a good game, just because I felt like I could beat it, and I just felt like being stubborn. Because, I enjoy collecting kills on my kill list, as I call it, my games beaten list. So sometimes I will put up with some bullshit just because I enjoy beating games. But I did not like this game at all. The arcade one is a tough game, but I almost beat that one. I still have to work on that possibly, but it doesn't have any random bullshit like that. I mean, there are random projectiles, but you have time to react to them. They don't come right off the edge of the screen where you're standing at the beginning of the stage. You also have to deal with that random bullshit when you get to the right end of the screen. There's times where you're dealing with random projectiles on the right end of the screen. They can come either high or low, and you don't know which it's going to do. So when you jump to try to get to the end of the screen, you may get hit, or you may try to walk to the end of the screen and get hit, and you just don't have the time to react. So it's extremely bullshitty. I mean, now, other than all that bullshit, for some reason they mapped the jump button is a rapid fire button in this game for whatever reason. So if you hold jump for just a little bit too long, you're going to jump again because it's set to rapid fire. The arcade version is also not like that for obvious reasons. There's no reason for the buttons to be mapped like that, So those are my main issues with the game. But those are fucking huge issues, and it's not like the game is fucking great without those issues. I mean, it's a decently solid game for this type of game at the time. But even the arcade version, which is a much better version of this, doesn't hold up as a great game today. So you can imagine where this review is going to go, with all those things taken into account. This is where the arrows start to get bullshitty, but you see me getting lucky here with the first projectile. And being once you get past that first projectile and you get some room off the screen, then you have time to dodge and react to everything. But initially, you're basically, some of these screens are going to be fucked until you dodge that first projectile by luck. And that's not a good way to design a game, obviously. But Commodore 64, it has games that are much more bullshittier than this one. So for this system, it's not the worst thing. But, as a game, yeah, I wouldn't say it fares too well. You basically go through a certain amount of screens. You can see a little mini-map on your bottom left corner, and that shows you how close you are to the end of the game. They also totally omitted one of the best stages in the game in this version. They just have the princess in the castle when you get to the end, but there's not a final area where you have to climb up these... you have to climb multiple stories while dodging arrows. That's in the actual arcade game. They removed that stage completely. And it just ends here. So it's like the game didn't want to be bothered to add in the real final stage of the game. They totally left that out. So, taking into account that this was kind of a solid game for what it was at the time, it was pretty good. But, like I said, the arcade version, if it was released today, it wouldn't even be an acceptable game that somebody would want to pay $2 for, as an indie game. And with all the problems it has, it's way less useful than that. So, yeah, I'll probably give it a 3 out of 10. I mean, only because it's playable. It's completely playable, but I mean, it's bullshit when you have to, it becomes like a gambling game once you learn the stages. Because you can easily manage everything. It's just that there's certain areas where you're basically just gambling, the hope that you don't, take a hit. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.